The woman in the trunk is still alive.
Our 4-year-old daughter cheerfully greeted her dad, who had just returned from a business trip after a week. But then she said these strange words and hid behind me. When my husband, who had the car keys in his hand, turned pale and started shaking.
Hey, don't say weird things.
Knowing our daughter's unusual ability, I couldn't just ignore this. Because whatever she says always comes true. This is scary. What is my husband hiding? When the meaning of our daughter's words was finally revealed, a horrifying truth awaited us. My name is Katie, a 32-year-old housewife. After graduating from college, I joined my dad's company and met my husband, Mike. We got married 6 years ago, and I quit my job when I became pregnant, soon giving birth to our daughter, Sophia. Mike was overjoyed at Sophia's birth and treated me even more kindly than before. We have supported each other with love and gratitude, watching Sophia's grow. However, our happy life changed when Sophia turned 4. Mike, who had been so kind, suddenly became distant and cold. Hey, did you hear what I just said? What's wrong with you lately? You've been acting a bit strange.
Unlike you, who sits around the house all day, I'm exhausted from work.
Suddenly shouting, Mike grabbed the car keys roughly. Where are you going?
A drive to clear my head. Being around you is suffocating.
Ignoring my attempts to stop him, Mike drove off and didn't return until morning. Even on his days off, he found excuses to leave the house, and sometimes his clothes smelled of sweet perfume when he came back. He used to say that spending time with Sophia was the most important thing. Is he seeing any women? I couldn't stop these thoughts from swirling in my mind. However, I had no idea that I would soon witness something far worse than infidelity. That day, Mike returned home after a week-long business trip. Sophia was thrilled to see him after so long. But just as she was about to run to him, she stopped dead in her tracks with a strange expression.
The woman in the trunk is still alive.
Her words shocked me, and I gasped. Our daughter has an unusual ability to see things others can't. We first noticed it when she started talking. One day she said, "Grandma is coming." And a few minutes later, my mom, who lived nearby, showed up at our house. Surprised, I asked Sophia, "How did you know?" She said, "I saw my grandma walking towards us." Then similar things happened a few more times. The most shocking was 6 months after my grandmother passed away when I took Sophia to visit her grave. Sophia said, "Great-grandma says there's a ring behind her dresser." When we went to my grandmother's room at my parents' house, we found the ring exactly where she said. Mike, who loves anything occult, was thrilled and called it supernatural powers. Sophia's mysterious power seemed limited to our family and close surroundings, so I thought she might just be a little sensitive to spirits. But whatever she said always came true. So when I looked at Mike's face after Sophia's comment about the woman in the trunk, it was clear he was unsettled. He turned pale, and his hand holding the car keys started to shake.
Hey, don't say weird things.
But then he suddenly scolded Sophia, making her cry. Hey, don't yell all of a sudden. It scares Sophia.
I'm tired from the trip, and she's saying strange things.
That's no reason to yell without even asking what she meant. You scared her.
Whatever. I've got important work documents in my car, so stay away from it.
Mike shoved the car keys into his suit pocket instead of leaving them in the living room as usual and went to his room. I tried to comfort Sophia, baffled by Mike's behavior. Why is Mike so agitated? Of course, being told to stay away made me even more curious. Sophia's words implied urgency. Mike's car originally belonged to my dad, and I had a spare key he didn't know about. So, while Mike was in the shower, I quickly went to the garage. With my heart pounding, I gathered my courage and opened the forbidden trunk. Sophia was right. It was true. Inside was an unfamiliar woman lying down. Seeing her with her back turned and completely still, I felt the blood drain from my body. Horrible. Why would Mike do this? But to my shock, the woman in the trunk started to move and groaned, "Ouch, ouch," as she slowly sat up. Relieved to see she was alive, I quickly helped her out of the car. "Hey, are you okay?"
Of course not. Just give me some water.
I was taken aback by her bold demand, but I went to the kitchen and brought back a bottle of water and some bread. She devoured both and sighed, "I feel alive again," then started talking about her affair with my husband. It turned out she was Mike's mistress. They had met online about 3 months ago, which was when Mike's attitude towards me had suddenly turned cold. Mike had secretly taken her along on his business trip, but on the way back, they had a heated argument. She threatened to tell me, and as she tried to leave the car, he chased her, and they ended up in a physical struggle. She hit her head when he pushed her, lost consciousness, and woke up in the car trunk. Apparently, Mike thought she was dead and panicked, hiding her there. I felt sickened by his cowardice. We should go to the hospital and the police right away.
I'm fine for now. I'll see a doctor tomorrow. And we don't need to go to the police, but you'll need to cover my medical bills.
Of course, I'll pay for that.
Great, then how about $500,000?
Excuse me? I looked at her thinking I had misheard.
Why are you so surprised? Your husband is the son of the CEO, right? If I go to the police, the company is done for, and you'll lose your happy life too.
I finally realized there that she was threatening me. From her story, it was clear Mike had been lying to his mistress about many things. While it's true he is technically the son of the CEO since he became my dad's son-in-law, it was part of the arrangement because I'm an only child. However, since he's not even an executive in the company yet, his arrest wouldn't have such a significant impact. Also, the house we live in is in my dad's name, so I wouldn't lose everything. But $500,000 is a lot of money. My husband is an asshole, but you are just like him. I was completely exasperated and decided to take them both down together. Our household finances are controlled by Mike, so I don't have any money at my disposal. Let's leverage his weakness together and get the money out of him.
Oh, I get it. Your husband is so stingy.
It seemed she had approached Mike for his money, but was always frustrated by his tight grip on his wallet. Their argument that day had apparently been about money, and she easily believed my story and agreed to my plan. Once we had a plan, I hid her in my car parked next door and told her to wait there. Back in the house, I called my mom, who lives nearby, and briefly explained the situation, arranging for her to take care of Sophia that night. When Mike came out of the shower, he suspiciously watched Sophia being taken away by my mom. Sophia said there's a ghost in this house, and she's scared. Since what she says always comes true, I'm having a famous psychic come by tomorrow. I lied, subtly hinting that he only had tonight to deal with the contents of the trunk, making Mike's face turn pale. You look very pale. Are you all right? Perhaps you'd better confess.
What are you talking about? I have nothing to hide.
Really? I didn't ask anything like that.
Shut up.
Mike shouted at me with no real force and fled to the bedroom. That night, I pretended to sleep, waiting for Mike to make a move. As expected, it's 1 o'clock at midnight. Mike quietly got out of bed and left the bedroom. I followed him a bit later. He grabbed a shovel in the shed and got into his car in the garage, not knowing the trunk was empty. He drove off, and I quickly got into my car with a hidden woman and started following him. Mike headed towards a nearby mountain. The path was straightforward, so I kept a safe distance to avoid being noticed. I was worried that if we went too far up the mountain, our phones might lose signal. Luckily, I found Mike's car halfway up the mountain. I parked my car in some nearby bushes and, with his mistress, watched his movements. It was a bright, moonlit night, and Mike had left the car lights on, making it easy to see. He started digging with a shovel, taking about an hour to finish the hole. Then he cautiously opened the trunk and was shocked to find the woman missing. Frantically, he began checking the car, even under the hood, clearly panicking.
Look at him. He's totally freaking out.
She pulled out her phone and called Mike. The sudden ringtone and her name on the screen made him visibly terrified even from a distance. When he nervously answered, she whispered in a low voice, "Boo." Mike threw his phone and tried to run, only to fall into the hole he had just dug. Taking advantage of the situation, she tousled her hair, smeared her face with lipstick, and stepped out of the car towards the hole. The air echoed with Mike's terrified screams, loud enough to shake the trees.
Mike, why did you take my life?
No, it wasn't on purpose. Please believe me.
I loved you, Mike.
I loved you too. I could never hurt you, Laura. It was an accident.
Mike tried to crawl out of the hole but couldn't stand, trembling with fear. He kept trying to escape, but kept sliding back down like an animal trapped in quicksand. She picked up the shovel and started tossing dirt into the hole.
Hey, stop it. What are you doing?
I don't want to be alone. Let's sleep here together.
No, please. I'll never forget you, Laura. Please forgive me.
Mike finally broke down and started sobbing loudly. It was a pathetic sight, one I had never seen before. Maybe that's enough now? I was completely exasperated and walked over to her, standing in front of the hole.
Katie, why? How long have you been there?
I've been behind Laura the whole time. I followed her out of the car and had been filming this ridiculous scene with my phone up close, but Mike hadn't even noticed. To be precise, she and I followed you from the house. Mike finally realized he had been tricked into thinking she was dead.
You. How could you do this to me?
I never knew you were such an idiot. Maybe I should post this online.
Mike got angry and grabbed Laura's leg and dragged her into the hole, and they started grabbing each other.
I'll really do it this time.
I'm not so slow that you can do anything to me.
Their ugly fight didn't last long as a police car arrived. I had secretly messaged my mom to call the police while waiting in the car.
Why did you call the police? You tricked me.
Of course. Did you really think I'd team up with you? I then told her that the CEO of Mike's company is my dad, Alex, and Mike is just a son-in-law with no power. Not that it matters, but I don't care what happens to Mike. You can have him instead of the $500,000.
What? Who'd want this piece of trash? I'd return him with a bow.
Too bad. I thought you two made a good pair. Soon, a police officer shone a flashlight on them, and Mike started making excuses while she looked oddly panicked.
Officer, it's all a misunderstanding. I thought she was dead. but she's alive. There's no problem.
Yeah, nothing happened. We're fine now.
What are you talking about? We're here because you dug a hole on someone else's private property without permission.
What? Oh, well,
What was that about thinking she was dead? Let's discuss this at the station.
The police officer easily pulled Mike out of the hole and then turned to Laura, saying, "You need to come with us too." He did a double take when he saw her face. Her face, with its garishly applied red lipstick, looked almost demonic. However, without mentioning her appearance, the officer exclaimed, "You're Emily, the wanted criminal." It turned out that the woman I had always found suspicious was a habitual marriage scammer. I was thoroughly disgusted with my husband's stupidity.
Hey, Katie. I'll be back soon. Just don't tell Alex about this, okay?
At this point, that's all you have to say. Don't you have anything else to reflect on?
I'm sorry for betraying you, but I was deceived. Emily, was a con artist.
His audacity to play the victim after a half-hearted apology left me in disbelief, and I sighed deeply. Listen, what I'm talking about is you putting her in the trunk. Sure, she's a criminal, but what you did was even worse.
I had no choice. If I didn't, it would have caused trouble for the company and you.
You were just trying to protect yourself. I can't stand your lack of integrity.
I'm sorry. I'll change from now on. I'll prioritize you and Sophia. Please don't abandon me.
At this point, Mike broke free from the officer's grip and fell to his knees, begging. My dad has already heard from my mom. They're going to fire you. So, you never have to come back. With that, I turned away, leaving Mike sobbing on the ground, and the sulking mistress was taken away by the police. Later, Mike was arrested, and his now resentful mistress filed a complaint, landing him in jail. I divorced Mike, demanded $20,000 in alimony for the affair, $100,000 in child support, and an additional $20,000 from the mistress. Mike also faced a $30,000 compensation claim for assault from the mistress, leaving him deep in debt. As for me, I moved back in with my mom for help with childcare and returned to work at my dad's company.
You know, Grandpa wants Mommy to help his work.
It was Sophia's simple comment that gave me the push I needed. I had always assumed that my dad didn't have high expectations for me, but it turns out he wanted me to take over his company. With the mysterious power of Sophia, I learned my dad's true feelings, and now I'm going to work hard and grow up myself to raise Sophia well.